Hello, everyone. Welcome to Or This. This is my Monday morning quarterbacking of the scriptures and the sermon for the previous Sunday. And this video is for the scriptures assigned for Sunday, May 21st. The scriptures that are assigned for the day are Acts 1, chapter 1, verses 6 through 14, Psalm chapter 68, verses 1 through 10 and 32 to 35, 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 12 through 14, and chapter 5, verses 6 through 11, and John chapter 17, verses 1 through 11. The sermon was based on the Gospel from John, mostly because throughout most of the Easter season, the scriptures have been from John's Gospel. But it was really hard for me to pass up the Acts passage for the day because the Acts passage relates the story of Jesus' ascension as told in the Gospel in the book of Acts. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the Acts passage today. And all I wanted to say about it was I wanted to point out a couple things. The first is that it starts out with the disciples asking, is this the time when you are going to restore the kingdom to Israel? And you just kind of want to face palm. At least that's what I picture Jesus doing. Because after all they've seen Jesus do, after Jesus' death and resurrection, that's what they're still expecting Jesus to do, is to help them overthrow the Roman Empire. So Jesus obviously responds to that by saying, you are not to know the times of things going on. Only the Father knows these things. And then Jesus tells them, you will be my witnesses in this whole region. And then Jesus disappears. Before he does that, when he tells them about being witnesses, he said that they will be given power from on high. And then Jesus ascends, and they're left kind of with looking up, wondering what just happened. And then two angels appear and say, why are you looking up to the sky? Go and wait for when the Spirit will be sent. And so they go and gather together in a room for prayer. And there's a couple interesting things about this. The first is that it sounds as though the disciples who mention about restoring the kingdom to Israel, they are talking about Jesus' power and using it to restore the kingdom to Israel. However, when Jesus talks about giving power or authority, it's for a very different reason. And that reason is to be his witnesses. So Jesus' power and authority isn't about overthrowing another kingdom by violence, but instead it is about sharing the message of the kingdom come near, of God's kingdom come near for all people. And that includes a message of forgiveness and reconciliation. It includes a message of love and grace, a message of mercy and justice. And that's going to definitely require some power, some encouragement, some inspiration. And that will come from the Holy Spirit, who gives the same message to Jesus' followers that Jesus gave them, except Now that Jesus has ascended, the Spirit does so within them. And so Jesus does not function in ways of overcoming with power, but instead the power that Jesus has is power over sin, power over those things that divide us, and certainly power over death. And so, and that power comes from the Holy Spirit that resides in those who believe in Jesus. And so there was that piece. The other piece that I thought was important about this is Jesus talking about not knowing the times or the hours, and them looking to the sky. And the angel saying, don't just stand there staring. Get going, and you will soon be given this Holy Spirit, and you will soon be these witnesses. Jesus will return the same way he went up, but right now that's not your concern. So get your eyes off the sky and get going. And I think that's a good reminder for us, because there's lots of talk around us about, oh, the end is near, the end is near. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But Jesus didn't tell his disciples to be concerned with the end being near as much as Jesus wanted his followers to be concerned with witnessing to the love of God shown through Jesus, and the forgiveness and salvation that we find through his cross, and the command to love one another, and to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, give shelter to those who are in need of shelter, care for those who are sick, or support those who are imprisoned. So there's certainly a lot of work that we need to do, keeping our eyes on the world around us without looking to the sky to see when is Jesus going to return. And I think that's what this passage really kind of gets at, especially the fact that Jesus has won the victory. Jesus has won the victory through his cross. Jesus returns to heaven, which means that that power is going to be let loose in the world. And what is the purpose of that power? That power that rose Jesus from the dead. It is to conquer the powers of sin and death through all of those different things that Jesus taught: loving one another, being in service to one another, supporting one another, caring for those who are poor. All of those things I just said a couple of minutes ago. And so that's the work of Jesus' followers today, not trying to look to the sky and figure out what's going to happen when Jesus is going to return, trying to find some kind of timeline in the scriptures to tell us when Jesus is going to return. Our job is to be about the work that the Spirit leads us to do in caring for the people and in the world around us. Of course, the disciples are waiting for that Spirit to come, but that Spirit came to us, has come to us, and is with us already in our baptism. And so maybe if we're not 100% sure where the Spirit is leading us, then it's okay to, like the disciples, take some time in quiet prayer and ask for the Spirit's guidance to help us see where in the world our witness is needed. So, a good passage from Acts this past week. This coming week we'll have Acts chapter 2. And that gets even better, because that's when the Holy Spirit actually comes upon the disciples for the first time, technically, according to Luke's account. So, thanks so much for watching, and please feel free to share any comments you have, either on the video or on the sermon, in the comments here on Facebook or on YouTube. And thanks for watching. God bless.